Dr. Shamim Nambasa is a widely visible youth leader and health professional. She says she wants to bring fresh leadership to local government. We'll ask her to explain how. Dr. Nambasa, many thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Canary. Thank you for having me, and good evening to all the viewers.
At some point, you led a large politically active university body at Makerere University,
yes.
And you were also the first ever flag bearer for National Unity Platform. Now you're seeking for a local government office. What specific management experience and systems from your time as Guild President qualify you for this seat?
Thank you so much, Canary, once again for having me here on NBS, and good evening to all the viewers. I'm Dr. Shamim Nambasa, a member of the National Unity Platform and aspiring woman Lord Councillor for Woman Councillor Kawempe South, and also a former Guild President at Makerere University 2021 to 2022. So when you ask me what management skills or what special systems have I been through for me to qualify to run for Councillor, I would like to first and foremost inform you that at Makerere University, I was leading over 25,000 students who are from different walks of life. You know, we have from different colleges, over 10 colleges, and I had the highest number of votes there. I had over 5,000 plus votes. So for me, I think it's an experience, first and foremost, that does give me a chance to experience leadership at a high level, because if you've had people say Makerere is Uganda summarized, so every now and then we have different challenges that students are going through that we must address, either with discussions or with violence, but we must do what has to be done.
With discussion or violence?
Whatever it takes. So I have had that experience, and I believe it is enough for me to be able to take up that LC5 councillor seat.
Kawempe South is faced with a number of issues, road issues, infrastructure, drainage issues, garbage collection, health access.
Yeah.
If elected Lord Councillor, do you really think as an individual, just a Lord Councillor, you can be able to put this together in your term of office?
Yes, I do believe that there is a lot more that KCCA has to do that hasn't been done, but then also I believe that there is a lot that I can do, as well as KCCA as a body, as different councillors. Personally, as a councillor representing the people of Kawempe South, I can't say that I will do everything on my own. But I believe that if we do have a council where we have different leaders that are concerned about, you know, the systems that we have, about the conditions in Kampala. For example, if you look at Kawempe South, among the biggest issues we face is the issue of drainage systems. We saw recently in Kampala, for example, in the city center, traders were affected by floods, and I want to sympathize with them. But you see, for us in Boise, it is a daily story. It's not just a one time that everyone is going to get surprised. I think people have now gotten used to it, that they no longer even have to talk about it.
Right.
It has become a song. So for me, I believe that first and foremost, when it comes to drainage systems, we have the Kampala master plan, the Kampala drainage master plan. That was tabled before, but because there was no funding, we have not seen anything being done. All we've seen is actually more drainage channels being given out to the likes of HAM for them to do whatever it is that they're doing. So I believe that first and foremost, when it comes to drainage systems, it's time we moved away from directives, because we saw Mr. Mseven giving a directive, and I don't even know what he studied. He's not even an engineer, but he woke up and said, the plan looked nice for me, let them go ahead and have such things. So it's important that we follow the law. If we're looking at physical planning, that people follow what has to be done for us to have these drainage systems.
Right. Dr. Nambasa, look, you talk about funding, and prompts me to ask this question. When you look at Kawempe, you know, it does collect revenue, but
yes,
there is no equal measure when it comes to revenue collection and the revenue repurposed. Yeah. How would you make sure that there is enough revenue collected, but also when it comes to repurposing it, that residents are able to track funds and projects?
Yes. First and foremost, it's important that people understand what contribution, for example, Kampala alone, not even just Kawempe South alone, or even Kampala metropolitan area contributes to our revenue in the country, that about 65% of domestic revenue in Uganda does come from Kampala metropolitan area. So, but then how much of it comes back to the people? Because for me, if we've had conversations around regional development, we hold a belief that let people collect taxes, but then compared to the percentage that you contribute, let that be given back to those very people. So for me, I think first and foremost, it's the fact that we have to give conducive environments for our people to work, that it is unfair for us to go back to traders in Kampala and start to demand them to give us taxes, yet we can't even give them conducive working environments. So it is a multidimensional space where we have to first give back to them, first ensure that the conditions in which they are working are actually good enough. We have seen issues of licensing licensing where people pay for their taxes or licenses based on the zones where they work, but I want for us to have conversations where people will pay taxes based on how much income or how much money is in that particular business.
Right.
So, but then also seeing that this money does go back to the people.
Maybe we could also just get into what would be priority for you once you're elected Lord Councillor.
First and foremost, I would still say it is the issue of taxing, because I've taken time to look at it, and you'll find that businesses in Kampala pay taxes, or their licensing processes are based on where they're found. That, for example, a business in Chikubo is going to be charged to pay more because there is belief that they have more money compared to the businesses, for example, in Kawempe. But for me, I want for us to see that let people pay taxes based on what income is within their businesses. If someone is running a hardware and another person is maybe running a shop selling, small merchandise, let them pay taxes based on what they're doing. I also want to see for us to have tax holidays, for example, for people that are just starting, and most importantly, youth. But as a medical profession, I also want to put emphasis on health. And it's unfortunate that as we speak, KCCA, for example, only has about 10 medical facilities. I would wish for us to have more than that. Let us at least have a health center, 3 or 4, at least in every parish. But then also, if you look at the ambulances, for example, we have only about 12 that are owned by KCCA, and only 6 are operational. But from a research that was done
in Kawempe South?
In Kawempe South, we don't even have any. I've not seen any KCCA-owned ambulance. So, and a research that was done showed that for us to have at least a good health system in Kampala, we need about 70 ambulances. And I think for me, that is just a matter of priority. Put priority on something like that and see that we actually have these ambulances. We have health centers that are actually operational and developed as well. But then the other issue I want to put emphasis on is being a voice for young people. We have a lot of jobless youth that do not have jobs. They are unemployed and unemployable.
And you think as a Lord Councillor you can fix that?
I think that as a Lord Councillor, the fact that I'm going to be sitting on KCCA or the District Council, we do have opportunities that we can create for these people. But then also we feed into a bigger space, that if there is something that I can't do at councillor level, at least let me advocate for it to be passed at parliamentary level.
Right. So many of your constituents are not just the young people, but they're also women, market vendors, border riders who form the largest part of your constituency in Kawempe South. But sometimes all they want is access to cheap credit to be able to start a business or inject in a business, but also access to microfinance and sometimes market space, security, and all that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have in your policy plan?
Yes, I actually do. And those are things that I believe we need to sit down and discuss. I've seen markets being developed, but then people actually fear to go to them because of the monies that they have to pay. I believe that even if we were to develop markets, we should at least give people room to work without necessarily putting very high taxes on them when it comes to, for example, women. And then also advocating for startup capital for these young people, because you find that people are getting out of school, people have gone for skilling, but they don't even have the bare minimum to start up a small business. So those are things that I wish to put emphasis on. But then I must highlight that in the National Unity Platform Manifesto, priority area number 6 is for us to be able to create about 10 million jobs. So I think it will still feed into the same project.
My last question to you is, Uganda's local politics can be extremely polarized, and critics even say that partisan politics undermines service delivery. You've even heard it from the president, that elect NRM only. If you elect opposition, you'll have issues with service delivery. How will you work with councillors from other political parties under KCCA to be able to resolve disputes, but also encourage inclusive governance?
It's unfortunate that we saw Mr. Mseven say that, and people must also appreciate that even when he came into leadership, we had the movement system where we took so long to have multi-party democracy. It took us, I think, up to 2005 for us to be able to start to have multi-parties. But for me, I believe that systems need to be checked. Even when we have the NRM in government, we need an opposition that is going to check them. We have seen a lot of wasteful expenditure from government institutions, and if we didn't have anyone checking them, who knows how bad it would have been. So I believe that, yes, there has to be room for tolerance. I do believe that when we make it to KCCA, even if we have people from the other parties, we must figure out a way to be able to work together, because what is most important is for us to serve the people, other than where we belong.
Dr. Shamim Nambasa, many thanks for speaking to us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.